I'm 34M, married to Leela 31F for 3 years, together for 6. She's a yoga instructor who does freelance graphic design. I'm a business manager for an industrial equipment company here in Ohio. Pretty normal middle-class setup, or so I thought. For the past 8 months, I've been pulling serious overtime. Not because we're struggling, we're actually doing well financially thanks to a solid prenup we both agreed on early in our relationship. My dad went through a brutal divorce when I was in college, lost half his retirement to a woman who cheated on him, learned from his mistakes. I was saving up to surprise Leela with a new Honda CR-V. Her current car is a 2018 Civic that's been giving her trouble, especially in winter. The transmission slips, the heating system is wonky, and she's mentioned wanting something with more space for her yoga equipment and props. I figured a CR-V would be perfect, reliable, practical, and she could write off part of it as a business expense. The overtime meant I was getting home around 9 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. most nights. I work for a company that supplies specialized machinery to manufacturing plants, and we landed this huge contract with an automotive parts manufacturer. The commission alone would cover the car purchase, but it required me being on site for equipment installation and training sessions. Leela seemed fine with the schedule. She'd have dinner waiting when I got home. We'd watch Netflix together, normal married couple stuff. She said she understood I was working towards something important and that she was proud of how dedicated I was. I figured she thought it was for a vacation or maybe finally finishing our basement renovation. 3 weeks ago, I finished a project early and got home at 6:30. As I was walking up to our front porch, I heard Leela on the phone in the living room. Our house is this 1950s ranch style with single-pane windows, and there's this weird acoustic thing where you can hear conversations from the front porch if the windows are open and someone's talking loudly. "Van, I'm telling you, this is perfect timing. He's never home before 9 these days, sometimes not until 10. I could easily meet Louis for coffee, maybe dinner, see where things go. Patrick would never know." I stopped dead in my tracks. Louis is this guy from her yoga studio who's been commenting on her Instagram posts for months. Nothing obviously inappropriate, but the kind of comments that made me raise an eyebrow. Stuff like "you're glowing in this photo" and "your energy is infectious" on pictures where she's in yoga poses. I know, Leela continued. But Van, what if this is my only chance to see if there's something better out there? I mean, Patrick's a good guy, he provides well, but he's so predictable, so safe. Louis makes me feel alive again like I did before I got married. Remember how I used to be? Vanessa is her divorced friend who's been pushing the "you're young, explore your options" narrative since her own marriage imploded last year. Her ex-husband caught her cheating with a personal trainer, took her to the cleaners in their divorce. Now she's bitter and seems determined to drag other women down with her. That's exactly what I'm saying. I could hear Vanessa's voice through the speaker phone. You gave Patrick your best years, and for what? So you could be some boring suburban housewife. Girl, you're 31, not 51. If you don't explore this connection with Louis now, you'll regret it forever. I stood there for another 5 minutes listening to my wife plan to cheat on me with the explicit encouragement of her friend. They discussed logistics, when to meet him, how to avoid leaving digital trails, even what to wear. The conversation ended with them agreeing to meet for coffee the next day to strategize the approach. I stayed outside for another minute, just listening to her move around the house like every other day. Then went around to the back door, made some noise with my keys and briefcase, and came in like normal. Leela greeted me with a kiss and asked about my day like nothing happened. She even made my favorite dinner. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling for hours. This woman I'd been with for 6 years, married for 3, was planning to betray me. And she was doing it with a smile on her face, making my favorite meals, asking about my work projects. Reddit, I need advice. Part of me wants to confront her immediately, but another part thinks I should wait and see how far she's willing to go. Our prenup protects most of my assets, and I've been documenting our finances carefully since we got married. I keep thinking about that phrase, explore your options, like I'm just an option she's weighing against other choices. What would you do? Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading all your responses now. A lot of you are saying to get a lawyer involved ASAP. I have a good relationship with the attorney who helped us with the prenup. Might be time for a call. For those asking about the prenup, we both brought assets into the marriage and wanted to protect them. I had a house, she had student loans and some savings. It wasn't a red flag thing. We both agreed it was smart financial planning. It covers property, savings, debt responsibility, and specifies no alimony unless there are kids involved. We don't have any. We decided to wait on kids until we paid off her student loans and had a bigger emergency fund. And no, I haven't gone through her phone. I'm not going to turn into a paranoid stalker. I heard what I heard, and that's enough. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks later, so after reading your advice, I contacted my lawyer immediately. Jim handled our prenup 3 years ago and has been our family attorney for various things since. He reviewed our prenup and confirmed what I suspected. I'm well protected. He also suggested I start documenting everything, which I've been doing religiously. The day after my first post, I set up a small recording device in our main living area, legal in my state with one-party consent. Over the next week, I captured 3 more conversations between Leela and Vanessa planning her exploration phase. In one conversation, they discussed specific dates when I'd be working late. In another, they talked about how to avoid leaving digital trails, using cash instead of cards, meeting at places where we don't usually go, even creating a cover story about Leela taking evening yoga workshops. Meanwhile, Leela was acting completely normal at home. Loving wife, asking about my day, planning our weekend grocery runs. She even surprised me with tickets to a baseball game for the following weekend. The cognitive dissonance was incredible. I started seeing changes in her behavior, though. She was suddenly very interested in her appearance again, new workout clothes, getting her hair done more frequently, buying these expensive organic face masks she'd never cared about before. She also became secretive about her phone, taking it with her to the bathroom and charging it on her side of the bed instead of the kitchen counter like usual. Last Friday, she finally made her move. She sat me down after dinner with this serious, practiced expression. "Patrick, we need to talk." She folded her hands in her lap, took a deep breath. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I need to be honest with you about something." I set down my coffee cup, already knowing what was coming. "Okay, I'm listening. I love you, I really do, but I feel like I've lost myself in our relationship." Her voice had this practiced cadence, like she'd rehearsed this speech. "I need some space to remember who I was before I became just Patrick's wife. I think a trial separation would be healthy for both of us." I nodded slowly, keeping my expression neutral. "How long are we talking about?" "Maybe a month or 2. Vanessa said I could stay with her while I gain some perspective on our relationship and what I really want from life." Of course, Vanessa had already offered. "What would that look like practically?" I asked, playing the concerned husband perfectly. "Would we have contact during this time?" She brightened slightly, probably thinking this was going better than expected. "We could text, maybe talk on the phone. I just need physical space to think clearly. And after the separation, what then?" "Well, maybe we could try couples therapy when I'm ready, work through whatever issues we have." She reached across the table and touched my hand. "I was worried you'd be angry." I looked down at her hand on mine, the same hand that would probably be touching Louis within the week. "I'm not angry, Leela. I'm just trying to understand what you need." Her eyes welled up with tears. "This doesn't mean I don't love you. I just need to figure out if I'm staying because I choose to or because it's comfortable." "I want you to be happy," I said, squeezing her hand gently. "If this is what you need, then take all the time you need." The relief on her face was unmistakable. She'd expected a fight, tears, maybe begging. Instead, she got understanding and support for her journey of self-discovery. If only she knew what journey I was planning for her. What she doesn't know is that I've already filed for divorce. Papers were submitted last Monday. She also doesn't know that the $47,000 I've saved from overtime, originally for her car, has been moved to a separate account that predates our marriage, making it protected under our prenup. She moved out Sunday morning, gave me this long speech about how much she loves me but needs to explore who she is outside of being someone's wife. She packed 2 suitcases and several boxes of personal items. Vanessa was there for moral support, giving me these sympathetic looks like she wasn't the mastermind behind this whole operation. "Take care of yourself, Patrick," Vanessa said as they loaded Leela's stuff into her car. "This isn't about you not being enough. Sometimes people just need to spread their wings." I helped carry her bags to the car, told her to take all the time she needed and that I'd be here when she was ready to talk about our future. The house felt different that night, quieter but not in a sad way, more like peaceful. My lawyer says I should have everything ready to serve her papers within the next week. The plan is to wait until she's settled into her journey of self-discovery and then hit her with reality. Some of you asked why I'm not just confronting her directly about what I overheard. Here's the thing. I could have done that 3 weeks ago and maybe worked something out, gone to counseling, tried to rebuild trust. But once I heard her planning to cheat with such calculated detail, something fundamental broke for me. The marriage was over the moment she decided to explore other options while keeping me as her safety net. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. And I want to make sure I handle this smart, not emotional. Edit. To clarify the timeline, she moved out Sunday. I'm serving papers this Friday. Gives her almost a week to enjoy her freedom before reality hits. Yes, I'm still going to work every day. Keeping busy helps, and my colleagues have been supportive without being nosy about details. Update 2. Posted 1 week later Friday was very interesting. Leela had been texting me all week about how refreshing her time away was and how she was gaining so much clarity about herself. She sent photos of coffee dates with new friends, probably Louis, yoga sessions at different studios, and even a picture of some expensive sushi dinner with the caption, "Treating myself for the first time in years." Each text felt like a knife twist, but I responded with supportive messages about taking all the time she needed and how I was glad she was finding herself. Friday afternoon, I drove to Vanessa's apartment complex. It's one of those modern places with the fake brick facade and names like the Residences at Willowbrook. Leela answered the door with this bright, almost manic smile, probably thinking I was there to beg her to come home. "Patrick, this is such a nice surprise. I was just thinking about you. Come in, come in. I was about to make some herbal tea." She looked different. New haircut, makeup done even though it was 3 p.m. on a Friday, wearing one of those flowy bohemian dresses she never used to like, playing a character. I handed her the manila envelope. "I was thinking about you too. That's why I wanted to get these to you as soon as possible." Her smile faltered as she took the envelope. "What? What is this?" "Divorce papers. I figured since you're exploring your options, I should explore mine too." The color drained from her face as she read the first page. She had to sit down on Vanessa's couch, just staring at the words like they were written in a foreign language. "Patrick, what? I don't understand. This is just a separation. I told you I needed time to think. And I gave you time to think. I also gave myself time to think. This is what I've decided." Vanessa appeared from the kitchen, saw the papers, and immediately went into damage control mode. "Patrick, don't you think you're being a little hasty here? Leela just needs some space to work through some things. This doesn't have to be permanent." "To work through things like sleeping with Louis from the yoga studio," I said calmly. The apartment went dead silent. Leela's face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. "We haven't, Patrick. I would never." "You would never what? Plan to cheat on me? Because I have recordings of you and Vanessa discussing exactly that, practicing lies to tell me, scheduling times to meet him based on my work schedule." Vanessa's face went pale. "You recorded us. That's illegal." "Actually, it's not. One-party consent state. I'm the one party and I consented to recording conversations in my own home." Leela went from shocked to desperate to angry in about 30 seconds. First came the tearful denials. She never actually did anything physical. It was just conversations, just fantasy. She would never actually go through with it. Then came the bargaining. Maybe we could go to counseling, work through this together. She'd cut all contact with Louis and Vanessa if that's what it took. When I didn't budge, explaining that the trust was broken regardless of whether she'd physically cheated yet, she switched tactics completely. Fine. If this is really what you want, if you're going to throw away 6 years over some stupid conversations, then I'll need access to our savings account to get back on my feet. I gave up career opportunities to support your advancement. I deserve half of everything we've built together. That's when I explained that the money she was thinking of, the overtime money she knew I'd been saving, was never ours. It had always been in my individual account that predated our marriage, and our prenup clearly states that individual assets remain individual assets. Her face went from angry to desperate to furious in record time. You planned this. You've been planning to leave me and you set me up. I planned to surprise you with a new car. I ended up surprising you with divorce papers instead. Funny how life works. She started screaming about how unfair it was, how I had tricked her into signing a prenup that left her with nothing, how she deserved compensation for 3 years of supporting my career and being a good wife. I reminded her that she supported my career by teaching yoga classes and doing occasional freelance design work while I paid the mortgage, utilities, groceries, her car payment, health insurance, and most of our entertainment expenses. Vanessa jumped in with threats about getting lawyers and fighting the prenup, claiming it was signed under duress, that I had manipulated a naive young woman. I told them both they were welcome to try, but my lawyer was confident in our documentation. We had emails discussing the prenup terms, video of both of us signing it with our individual attorneys present, and 3 years of financial records showing exactly what we agreed to. Then Leela hit me with the nuclear option. I'm pregnant. I looked at her for a long moment, studying her face. 3 weeks ago, she'd been drinking wine at dinner. Last week, she'd been posting Instagram photos with cocktails. Congratulations, I said finally. I assume Louis is excited about becoming a father. She broke down completely at that point, sobbing, admitting she wasn't pregnant, begging me to reconsider, promising she'd never gone through with anything physical with Louis, that it was all just stupid fantasy encouraged by Vanessa. Maybe that's true, I said, but you were planning to. The only reason you didn't cheat yet is because you didn't have the opportunity. Well, now you have all the opportunity in the world. I told them both the divorce was happening regardless. Whether she cheated physically or just emotionally and planned to cheat didn't matter to me. The marriage ended the moment she decided to explore other options while keeping me as her backup plan. Left them both crying in the doorway of that fake luxury apartment. Edit. Getting a lot of DMs about the pregnancy claim. My lawyer says this is extremely common in contentious divorces, and that's why we're requiring medical documentation for any pregnancy-related claims going forward. She can't fake medical records. Someone asked about the recordings. Yes, my lawyer has copies of everything. It's all admissible evidence if she tries to contest the divorce terms. Final update. Posted 3 weeks later, this will be my final update on this situation. Things escalated quickly after I served the papers, but it's finally over and I can move on with my life. The day after my last post, Leela started what my lawyer called a scorched earth campaign. She called my office Monday morning claiming I was having a complete mental breakdown and was potentially dangerous to myself and others. She told HR I'd been acting erratically, that she was afraid for her safety, and that I might do something crazy at work. Fortunately, I'd already given my direct supervisor a heads up about the divorce and warned him about potential false claims. My boss knows me well after 5 years at the company. He called me into his office, explained what happened, and assured me that they weren't taking it seriously but had to document it for legal reasons. Tuesday, she tried the fake pregnancy angle again, this time calling my lawyer claiming she was going to file for emergency spousal support due to her condition. My lawyer immediately requested medical verification from an actual doctor, not just a home pregnancy test. We never heard back about that. Wednesday brought the most creative attempt. Vanessa called our neighbors posing as a social worker investigating reports of domestic disturbance at our address. She claimed there had been complaints about screaming and possible violence. Unfortunately for them, one of our neighbors is Bob, a retired police sergeant. Bob got suspicious when social worker Vanessa couldn't provide proper identification, agency contact information, or even spell the county social services department correctly. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some official ID and a badge number, or I'm calling the real police to report someone impersonating a government official," Bob told her. Vanessa panicked and ran back to her car. Bob got her license plate number and called it into his former colleagues. They traced it back to Vanessa and paid her a visit about filing false reports. My lawyer documented everything. Each harassment attempt just strengthened our case and showed the court exactly who they were dealing with. Thursday was quiet, too quiet. I should have known they were planning something bigger. Friday evening, I got a call from Louie. Yes, that Louie. "Dude, I need to talk to you about Leela," he said. "This whole thing has gotten completely out of hand." Turns out, Leela had been telling him that I was abusive, that she needed a safe place to stay while dealing with her dangerous, controlling husband. She'd been using our separation as a sob story to get sympathy and attention from him. But then she started talking about needing money for lawyers, asking if he could help her get what she deserves from me. Louis decided to do some digging after getting suspicious about her stories. Found my Facebook and photos of Leela and me, realized the timeline didn't match what she'd told him about being separated for months. He apologized and said he'd stopped answering Leela's calls. The final court date was last Tuesday. Leela showed up with a public defender, apparently couldn't afford private counsel after spending her savings on her self-discovery journey. She tried one last Hail Mary, claiming the prenup was signed under duress and that I had hidden assets she was entitled to. My lawyer presented our documentation, video of us both signing the prenup with our respective attorneys present, email chains where we both discussed and agreed to the terms, and complete financial records showing every penny I'd earned and saved during our marriage. The judge took one look at everything, listened to Leela's attorney's half-hearted arguments, and granted the divorce immediately. No alimony, no asset division beyond what was explicitly shared in our joint checking account, about $3,200. Leela's public defender advised her afterward not to pursue any appeals. "Ma'am, you'd be throwing good money after bad," I heard him tell her. After court, I found out the full extent of her self-discovery journey from Jim, my lawyer, who'd done some digging at my request. She'd been spending money like she was already divorced and entitled to half my assets. New clothes, expensive dinners at trendy restaurants, spa treatments, even a weekend trip to Chicago with Vanessa. All of it funded by maxing out the credit card that I'd removed myself from as an authorized user the day I filed for divorce. She's now personally responsible for about $11,000 in debt she racked up during her exploration phase. Changed the locks on the house last weekend. Had a security system installed with cameras covering all entrances. Leela still has Vanessa and a few flying monkeys sending me angry messages about how I destroyed a good woman's life and ruined her chance at happiness. But my phone has a block feature for a reason. The weird part, I feel incredible. I'm not bitter, I'm not angry, I'm just free. The house feels like mine again. I can come home to peace instead of wondering what manipulation or lie is waiting for me. Life's too short to be someone's backup plan. Thanks for all the support, guys. My wife wants to be a surrogate for her boss, and I think it's destroying our marriage. Hey Reddit. This is my first time posting here, but I'm honestly at my wit's end and need some outside perspective. My wife Maya and I have been married for 4 years and have a 3-year-old son, Ben. We're not wealthy by any means. I run a small tech company and she's a marketing director at a fashion firm, but we've built a good life together. Or at least I thought we had. About 6 months ago, Maya started talking about feeling unfulfilled and like she wasn't reaching her potential. I get it. Being a working mom is tough and she's incredibly talented. Her boss Arthur Wells has been praising her work constantly, and honestly, she deserves the recognition. The guy runs multiple companies and Maya has been instrumental in some major campaigns. But then last month she dropped a bomb on me that I'm still processing. Maya came home from work that Tuesday with this weird energy. She was practically vibrating with excitement, but I could see something nervous in her eyes too. She barely said hello to Ben before asking if we could talk privately. "What's going on?" I asked as we sat down on the couch. "So, Arthur and his wife, Rebecca," she started, then paused, taking a deep breath. "They've been struggling with fertility issues for years, like really struggling. They've tried IVF multiple times, had miscarriages, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars." I nodded, not sure where this was going. "They're considering surrogacy now," Maya continued, her voice getting faster. "And Evan, I've been thinking, I want to help them, I want to be their surrogate." I was completely thrown off. Actually had to gather myself before trusting myself to speak, like, carry their baby. Yes. Her eyes were bright now, almost glowing. "Think about it, Evan. This couple has everything: success, love, financial security, everything except the one thing they want most, a child." I felt my stomach drop. "Maya, this is huge. You're talking about pregnancy, about helping people who desperately need help," she interrupted, leaning forward. "Pregnancy was so easy for me with Ben. We're done having kids anyway, right? This could be my way of making a real difference." The more she talked, the more uncomfortable I got. This isn't some anonymous arrangement through an agency. This is her boss. The guy she already spends 50+ hours a week thinking about. And the financial aspect. She mentioned compensation but was vague about details, saying it wasn't about the money. I asked her to slow down, told her we needed to think about this seriously. What about Ben? What about us? What about the complexity of her carrying another man's child, especially someone she works so closely with? She got defensive immediately. "This isn't about Arthur personally, it's about helping people who can't have children. About doing something beautiful and generous. I thought you'd understand that." When I tried to explain my concerns, she accused me of being selfish and not supporting her desire to do something meaningful with her life. We've been going in circles for weeks now. She's talked to her sister Sophia about it, and apparently Sophia thinks it's beautiful and that I'm being controlling. Even Maya's mom has weighed in, suggesting that I should be proud of my wife's generous spirit. But here's what's eating at me. Maya has been different lately. She talks about Arthur constantly, his vision, his success, how he sees potential in her that others don't. She started working later, volunteering for projects she never showed interest in before. Last week I found her looking at luxury real estate online just for fun, which is something she's never done. When I brought up my concerns about the professional boundary issues, she said I was being paranoid and accused me of not trusting her. But it's not about trust, it's about the fact that carrying someone's child creates a bond, and when that someone is your boss who you already seem to idealize. The worst part. Maya has talked to Arthur about this extensively. They've had multiple private conversations about the process, the timeline, even the legal arrangements. Meanwhile, I feel like I'm being asked to just go along with a decision that affects our entire family without having any say in the matter. She's not asking for my blessing anymore. Yesterday she told me she's already scheduled the first medical consultation. When I asked if this was happening, whether I agreed or not, she said, "I hope you'll come around, but I can't pass up this opportunity to help people and grow as a person." Am I wrong for feeling like my wife is making a decision that could destroy our marriage? I've been so sure this isn't something you're just supposed to accept, but I can't help starting to doubt myself when everyone around me says otherwise. Is there something I'm not seeing here? I love Maya, but I feel like I'm losing her to this fantasy of being some kind of savior for her boss. Any advice would be appreciated. I'm drowning here. Edit. A lot of people are asking about the financial arrangement. Maya mentioned $60K plus all expenses, which would definitely help us, but she insists that's not the primary motivation. The amount seems standard for surrogacy, but the whole situation feels different when it's your wife's boss. To clarify a few things, Arthur's wife Rebecca is apparently supportive of Maya being their surrogate. Maya has met with her a few times, though I haven't been included in those conversations. Thank you for all the responses. Reading through them is helping me realize I'm not crazy for feeling uncomfortable about this. Some of you are asking if I've suggested couples counseling. I brought it up and Maya said we don't need a therapist to tell her she's doing something generous. Update 1. It's been 6 weeks since my original post, and I honestly don't know how I'm still functioning. Maya actually went through with it. She's pregnant with Arthur's baby. The decision happened faster than I could process. After my post, I tried one more time to have a serious conversation with her. I suggested we take some time, maybe see a marriage counselor, talk through all the implications. Her response was that she'd already committed to Arthur and Rebecca, and backing out now would be cruel and unprofessional. Unprofessional. Yeah, she really did use that word. She had the embryo transfer 3 weeks ago. She told me the day before it happened, not asking for support, just informing me. When I asked if she wanted me there, she said Arthur and Rebecca were already planning to be present, and too many people would be awkward. I wasn't even there when my wife became pregnant with another man's child. The worst part is watching how happy she is. She's glowing in a way I haven't seen since early in our marriage. She texts constantly with Arthur about symptoms, appointments, progress. She started a pregnancy journal that she shares with him and Rebecca. Last week I found a photo on her phone. It was the 3 of them at a prenatal appointment, Maya in the middle, both Arthur and Rebecca with their hands on her still flat belly. I wasn't in that photo either. And honestly, I don't think I even wanted to be. The whole thing just feels so absurd. Maya's sister Sophia has practically moved in to support Maya through this journey. She keeps making comments about how proud she is of Maya for following her heart and doing something so meaningful. When I mentioned that this is affecting our marriage, Sophia told me I need to stop making Maya's pregnancy about myself. Maya's mom calls daily now. She's planning a baby shower for Arthur and Rebecca, with Maya as the honored guest. When I pointed out how weird this was, Maya said I was being petty and that this baby deserves to be celebrated. Our son Ben knows mommy has a baby in her tummy, but Maya has explained it as helping another family. When he asked if the baby would be his brother or sister, Maya said no, it would belong to Arthur and Rebecca. Ben seemed confused, and honestly, so am I about how to handle this with him. The financial aspect has become clearer and it's complicated. The $60K is being paid in installments, with the majority coming after delivery. Maya has used the first payment to buy a new car, a luxury SUV she said would be better for appointments and safer for the baby, which didn't even make any sense. She's also started shopping differently, buying organic everything and expensive prenatal vitamins that Arthur apparently researched and recommended. Here's what's really getting to me. Maya and I barely talk anymore unless it's about Ben or logistics. She's tired all the time, but not too tired to have hour-long phone calls with Arthur about the pregnancy. She started joining the same meal delivery service he uses, listening to podcasts he recommends. When I tried to express feeling left out of my own marriage, she said this isn't about me and that I need to be more supportive during this special time. When I asked what happens to us after the baby is born, she said we'll figure it out and that I'm borrowing trouble. But I don't think I'm borrowing anything. I think I'm losing my wife to another man's vision of their life together. The breaking point came last weekend. Maya, Arthur, and Rebecca went to a couple's prenatal class together, a class designed for expectant parents. Maya came home talking about breathing techniques and birth plans, excited about things I should be part of as her husband but feel completely excluded from. That night I asked her directly, "Do you still want to be married to me?" She was quiet for a long time, then said, "I want to focus on this pregnancy right now. Everything else can wait." I don't think everything else can wait. I think while my wife is having another man's baby, our marriage is dying, and I'm the only one who seems to care. Maya's due date is still 7 months away. I don't know how I'm going to survive this, or if there will be anything left of us when it's over. Edit. A few people are asking about legal contracts. There is one, but Maya handles all communication with the lawyers, Arthur's lawyers, actually. I've asked to see it and she says it's complicated legal language and I wouldn't understand it anyway. To those suggesting I consult my own lawyer, I've been thinking about it more seriously. I never thought I'd be Googling divorce attorneys, but here we are. Update 2. 8 months since my first post, and I barely recognize my life. Maya is now 26 weeks pregnant with Arthur's baby, and I think I need to accept that my marriage is ending. The pregnancy has consumed everything. Maya spends more time at Arthur's house than ours. They converted a guest room into a pregnancy wellness space where she can rest between work meetings. She has dinner with Arthur and Rebecca 3 nights a week now to discuss the baby's development and plan for the future. Last month, Maya moved into their guest house temporarily. She said it was just for a few weeks because she was having some complications and needed to be close to her doctors, who are Arthur's doctors. That was 6 weeks ago. She comes home twice a week to see Ben and get clothes, but she's essentially living with Arthur and Rebecca now. Ben keeps asking when Mommy is coming home. I've been telling him she's helping the other family with their baby, but he's 3 and confused about why Mommy doesn't live with us anymore if she's still his mommy. Our pediatrician suggested some family counseling for kids, which I'm pursuing alone since Maya says Ben is adjusting fine. The thing that finally broke me happened 2 weeks ago. I came home from work to find Maya packing more clothes. She was wearing this flowing maternity dress I'd never seen before, expensive, the kind she never bought when she was pregnant with Ben. When I complimented it, she said Arthur picked it out because he thought it would be flattering for the pregnancy photos. What pregnancy photos? Apparently, they'd had a professional maternity shoot done that afternoon. Arthur, Rebecca, and Maya celebrating their upcoming baby. She showed me the pictures on her phone like it was the most natural thing in the world. In every shot, Maya was radiant. Arthur and Rebecca were touching her belly, and they looked like a happy family expecting their first child. I guess you guys can only imagine the face I made looking at those photos. It was hard to describe, but it's not just about the baby. It's not even about Maya talking about Arthur constantly anymore. She started dressing differently, carrying herself differently. My wife has become someone I don't recognize. 2 weeks ago, I consulted a divorce attorney. Attorney Rodriguez was frank with me about the complexities of divorce during surrogacy, especially when there's a financial arrangement involved. The good news is that Ben is clearly my son and Maya hasn't done anything that would affect custody. The bad news is that the divorce process could be complicated by the ongoing pregnancy contract. But here's what really convinced me I need to move forward. Last weekend, Maya brought Ben to Arthur's house for a family barbecue. When Ben came home, he was talking about Arthur's pool, Arthur's dogs, Arthur's big backyard. He asked me why we don't have nice things like Arthur does. That question hit me like a freaking punch to the gut. My 3-year-old son was already comparing our life to Arthur's and finding us lacking. Maya wasn't just destroying our marriage, she was actively setting Ben up to see his own father as somehow insufficient. She was systematically replacing our family unit with this fantasy where Arthur was the successful provider and I was just there. That night I asked Maya point blank, "Are you planning to come home after the baby is born?" She was quiet for a long time, then said, "I don't know." This experience has shown me what's possible when you're around people who really value what you bring to the table. What the hell? 4 years of marriage, and she was basically telling me to my face that she didn't feel valued with me. When I asked what that meant for us, for Ben, she said, "Maybe this is a chance for both of us to figure out what we really want." That was it. I finally snapped. The next morning, I changed the locks on our house and packed Maya's remaining clothes into suitcases. When she came by to pick up more things, I met her at the door. "You can't come in," I told her, "and you can't see Ben until we sort this out legally." Maya's face went white. "Evan, you can't keep me from my son." "Watch me," I said. You're confusing a 3-year-old and damaging him with this fantasy life you're chasing. I won't let you use our son as a prop in whatever game you're playing. This isn't a game, she shouted. I'm doing something meaningful with my life. You're having another man's baby while destroying your family, I shot back. That's not meaningful, that's selfish, and I'm done enabling it. I filed for divorce that afternoon and emergency custody of Ben. Maya could live with Victor and Rebecca all she wanted, but she wasn't dragging our son into that mess anymore. When Maya got the papers, she completely lost it. She showed up at my office, screaming about how I was trying to steal her child and ruin her life. She threatened to call the police, said I was kidnapping Ben, accused me of being abusive. "You're stressing me out during my pregnancy," she yelled in front of my entire staff. "This could hurt the baby. You're being vindictive because you can't handle that I've found something better." The irony wasn't lost on me. She was worried about stress affecting Arthur's baby, but had no problem traumatizing our actual son with her choices. Maya hired a lawyer within 48 hours, paid for by Arthur, according to my attorney. She wasn't fighting for our marriage or trying to come home. She was fighting for access to Ben. The divorce itself. She seemed almost relieved about that. Her lawyer sent threatening letters about parental alienation and demanded immediate visitation rights. Maya painted herself as the victim, conveniently leaving out the part about living with another man while carrying his baby. The temporary custody hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. Until then, Ben stayed with me, and Maya stayed in Arthur's guest house, playing house with someone else's family while fighting me for access to the child she'd abandoned for her boss's attention. I felt like I was finally taking control of a situation that had spiraled completely out of my hands. Maya had made her choice when she prioritized Arthur's baby over our family. Now she had to live with the consequences. Edit: yes, I'm documenting everything for the divorce proceedings. My attorney says it's important to show how the surrogacy arrangement has affected our marriage and Ben's stability. Final update. It's been 4 months since the baby was born and my life has changed completely. Maya delivered Arthur and Rebecca's baby in November, a healthy girl they named Vivienne. Maya had a relatively easy delivery, and Arthur and Rebecca were both in the room when their daughter was born. The first few weeks after the birth were surreal. Maya stayed in Arthur's guest house for recovery, but based on her social media posts, recovery looked a lot like family dinners, spa days, and shopping trips with Rebecca. She was bonding with Vivienne like she was her own child, despite the surrogacy contract clearly stating the baby would be handed over immediately after birth. That's when things got legally complicated. Maya decided she didn't want to relinquish her parental rights to Vivienne. Even though she'd signed contracts, even though Arthur and Rebecca had paid her, she claimed she'd developed a maternal bond and wanted to be part of Vivienne's life permanently. The legal battle that followed was intense and expensive. Here's what I learned during the court proceedings. Maya and Arthur had been having an affair for months before the surrogacy arrangement began. Wow, what a shocker, who could have guessed? The pregnancy wasn't just about helping a couple have a baby. It was about Maya having Arthur's child while staying legally protected by the surrogacy contract. Rebecca found out about the affair during the custody battle. Apparently, she'd suspected something but trusted Arthur when he said the surrogacy was purely business. Text messages recovered during discovery showed months of romantic communication between Maya and Arthur, including plans for them to be together after the baby brings us what we've been missing. The whole thing imploded spectacularly. Rebecca filed for divorce from Arthur and relinquished any claim to Vivienne. At first, I thought this would be good news for Maya and Arthur. They could finally be together with their daughter like they'd planned. But that's when I finally learned the truth about their relationship. And it seemed, so did Maya. Arthur never intended to leave Rebecca for Maya. Their affair was about Arthur wanting a child with Maya specifically, someone young, fertile, and devoted to him, while maintaining his marriage and social status. When Rebecca discovered the affair and filed for divorce, Arthur panicked about his reputation and business relationships. He immediately tried to distance himself from Maya. He claimed in court that the affair was entirely her idea and manipulation. Maya was devastated. She'd believed Arthur loved her and wanted a future together. She'd sacrificed her marriage and family for him, only to discover she was just a convenient way for him to have a child without the messiness of divorce. When Arthur's lawyers started painting her as a gold-digging homewrecker who'd manipulated a vulnerable married man, Maya realized she'd been played. That's when their legal battle turned vicious. Arthur fought Maya for sole custody of Vivienne, claiming she defrauded him by pretending the surrogacy was altruistic when she was really just trying to baby-trap him. He argued that as a single mother with no stable income or housing, she was unfit to raise his daughter. Maya fought back by exposing all of Arthur's lies, the months of romantic promises, his plans to eventually be with her, his encouragement of her to leave me. She demanded primary custody as the biological mother and claimed Arthur had emotionally manipulated her throughout the entire process. The whole thing became a he said, she said battle, where both of them were trying to destroy each other. Arthur painted Maya as a manipulative seductress. Maya painted Arthur as a predatory boss who abused his power. Meanwhile, neither of them seemed to be thinking about what was best for Vivienne. While they battled over Vivienne, I focused on protecting Ben with Maya's life in chaos and her priorities clearly elsewhere. I filed for emergency full custody of our son. Given that Maya was essentially homeless, Arthur kicked her out when Rebecca discovered the affair, and unemployed, the fashion company fired her for the scandal. The judge granted my request. The custody battle for Vivienne lasted 3 months. In the end, Arthur won primary custody, but Maya was granted significant visitation rights and child support. She essentially lost custody to both her children, living in a small apartment funded by Arthur's child support payments. The financial settlement from my divorce was straightforward since Maya had already essentially moved out and established her own life. I kept the house, most of our shared assets, and full custody. Maya kept the money she'd earned from the surrogacy, which helped her establish her new life as a single mother. The irony is that she ended up with neither Arthur nor the fantasy life she was chasing. She's a single mother working part-time at a small marketing firm, living in a modest apartment, and sharing custody of a daughter with a man who now sees her as a problem to manage rather than a woman to cherish. Meanwhile, Ben and I have built a quiet, stable life together. We have movie nights on Fridays, pancakes on Saturday mornings, and a bedtime routine that doesn't involve mommy being somewhere else. It's not the life I planned, but it's peaceful. Ben starts kindergarten in the fall. I'm considering moving us to a different school district, somewhere we can have a completely fresh start. Maya will still have her visitation rights, but Ben and I deserve a chance to build our future without being defined by the chaos of the past year. Life is good now. Different than I planned, but good. Thanks to everyone who supported me through this insane journey. I'm logging off this account and moving forward with my life.